this year is going to be beyond something special. Here,
This is going to be my first trip.
here, everybody wanted to see the rematch between Tanner and Daly. Daly not in a late model this year. What just happened before with Papich and Toast coming up and getting wins at Joey's track. Now him going down there to their home track. I have not been so pumped for a race in a long, long time. Okay, I really haven't. I am excited for what's coming.
We love going down there anyway. This just is icing on the cake.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we have a blast when we go down there.
It's one of our favorite shows. See, Roger Snyder right here says Joey got taken out. No, he didn't. No, he did not get taken out. It was an unfortunate racing accident where two guys were battling hard for the lead.
Now, is he talking about Baco last year?
Yeah.
Or is he talking? Okay, so we're not talking about the weekend we were gone.
No.
Okay.
No, we're talking about Baco last year. Roger, I love you, man, but
Yeah.
that is a false statement. He did not get taken out. That was two hardcore competitors racing for the win, and that was the end result. It was unfortunate.
That was the only move that Joey could make that night. It was that, or it wasn't going to happen. And he went for it, and it didn't turn out too well.
Sandy, you're right, because if you watch how that race was playing out, and as it progressed and Joey made his way through the field, Joey didn't start up front. Joey started mid-pack and had to pass some really, really fast cars to get there. He had to go by Steve Drake, and he had to go by Bartels, and he had to go by Rob Sanders. You know, we're talking about some of the best down there in that area. He had to get by those guys, okay? And he did. He got to Clay Daly, and what happened was this race that was absolutely incredible on a track slicker than anything you've ever seen, okay? If you watch that race from the apex of 1 and 2 to the entry of turn 3, it was Clay Daly. Clearly had the advantage in that area of the racetrack. From the apex of 3 and 4 into 1, it was the Joey Tanner show. That's where Joey was making his moves. Joey knew that if I'm going to win this race, I've got to make my move in that zone. Joey made his move. Daly was there. The track was just a little slicker than I think and both drivers anticipated as they were battling for the lead. They got together. Unbelievable. Now, these guys come up and beat Joey on his track, and he's got to go down there and race them for, you know, what is being dubbed as the West Coast Premier Open Show. It's a big deal. 265 cars last year. Okay,
it's huge.
It's not just late models. You're going to see sport mods, IMCA modifieds, American stocks, hobby stocks. You're going to see super late models. I mean, you're going to see 6 or 7 different classes of cars over the 2 days. And it is a phenomenal show.
And it's non-stop.
Non-stop.
I know why they call it the wide open. Because from what you guys explained to me about it, it's wide open from the time you get there to wide open till the time you leave.
You will do more work
You're
in
gonna
those
be
2
tired,
days of
Ed.
racing than we do in probably 6 races at our local track.
We're going to need a vacation after this one.
We're going to need 20 batteries for the drone. I can see that coming.
Probably.
Big time. Yeah.
But I've been to a lot of tracks around the country. I've seen a lot of shows roll off. Never once have I ever seen a show roll off like the Schweitzer family has perfected the Budweiser Nationals. From the first qualifying lap to the final checkered flag and the super late model feature of the night, there is not a time where there isn't a race car on the track.
Mm-hmm.
The only
it is
other
constant.
the only other race I would say I could compare that to would be the Boone Super Nationals in Iowa.
That the guys just got back from.
Right. We had a couple Oregon guys go back and represent, and they represented very well.
They did.
It's much like that. It's just bang, bang, bang. It's nonstop. It's from when one race rolls off, the other one's already on the track, and they're lining up and ready to go. You're going to see that for about 6 solid hours.
For 2 days in a row.
Are you sure? You're sure they're not going to try to run over me, right?
No, you're going to be safe. I promise. You're going to be safe. Speaking of the Boone Super Nationals, like you said, Sandy, a couple of guys, Oregon drivers, just went back, represented very well. Gray Ferrando, Superman Colin Weinbarger, made the show. They got into the show and
did well.
Did very well when you consider there's 300 plus cars there.
Yep.
These are the best modified drivers in the country at the most prestigious modified race in the world. And you're talking about the best of the best. To make that show, I think they start 30 cars. Brad Newsom's listening. If I'm incorrect when I say that, Brad, let me know. I think it's 30 cars they start. So the 30 cars that get to that show are the 30 best modified drivers in the world on that day.
Yes.
And those guys got into the show.
Wow.
And respectively finished 16th and 21st.
I watched part of that when it was live. I did watch part of the show. I watched Gray racing, and then I seen Colin run in some of the races, and they was both doing very well.
So we were on. Were we on vacation? We were on vacation for that. I did see some video. I did see some video. Someone had posted the race where Gray Ferrando had to race his way into the show.
Yes.
And I heard that he had gotten into the show before I saw the video. And I start watching the video from lap 1, and I'm watching, and I'm thinking to myself, as this race is progressing, all right, Gray's doing really good. He's excited to watch this. And then I start watching him fade back, and I'm saying there is no way he is going to race himself into this show. There's no way.
Because it was tight.
Well, he was running fourth. He was in the final transfer spot.
Yep.
And then he got kind of
shuffled back,
like 4 or 5 spots. 4 spots. I think he was at 8th or something at one point.
Yep, and he come right back.
And in the closing laps, that race went to total chaos, and Gray Ferrando displayed probably the coolest head I've ever seen him with. I mean, he knew this is what I got to do to get in, and what a phenomenal phenomenal job of driving to get into that, because he's racing against some of the best in traffic. Guys are sliding and bumping and banging, and it didn't rattle him.
A lot of trading the paint going on.
Boy, was there. Well, and I'll tell you what, that was a fantastic heat race.
It was tight racing in there, too.
It was. And Gray was working that bottom line and holding his own, and then he kind of got outside, and a couple of guys went by him. Then he started moving back up, and I found myself holding my phone, and I'm tensed up. I mean, I was literally tensed up going, come on, Gray. And I was getting excited watching it, and I'm thinking, oh, no. Someone screwed up and said he got into the show, and then he fought his way back in. Those last couple of laps were so exciting. I was actually stood up and was holding my phone watching that race. I couldn't believe it. It was unbelievable job for Gray Ferrando or anyone in that position to keep their head, to keep their cool, their composure, relax, and do what they need to do to get the job done.
Well, I saw him fall back, and I'm going, oh, no.
Me too.
Come on, Gray, get on up there, get on up. And sure enough, he moved up a spot, and I'm sitting there going, come on, I'm waiting, waiting. And once he moved up into the transfer spot, he was there.
He was there, but, boy, he got there just in the nick of time.
Yes, he did.
He made all the right moves when they counted, and it was an awesome thing to watch. The West Coast was represented very well this year at the Boone Super Nationals. I know that we had another West Coast driver finish. I want to say Lanning was 5th. I believe I heard that. Cody Lanning, you'll see him at the Bud Nationals. To have 3 of our guys in the top 30 in the United States.
That really speaks something about the Northwest.
The West Coast, absolutely.
Yep.
It really does. I mean, you've heard me say it, I don't know how many times on this show. I talk about the Pacific Northwest as a market. It is the most untapped market for dirt track racing talent you're going to find anywhere in this country. Mm-hmm. There are so many drivers in this area that don't get the looks simply because of where we are. Our race season is short. We don't have the corporate sponsorship. We don't have any big series up here for late models. And those guys don't get the looks because of that.
But we have some big name sponsors that's up here.
It was Dotson. Ethan Dotson finished 4th.
Yep. Okay.
If we could just get those big sponsors to come on board. We got Coors in Washington. We got Intel in Beaverton. We've got some of the big players around. But to try to get them into the show is the problem.
To get these guys interested from a corporate level, because racing is so stretched out here in the Northwest as far as from track to track to track. You go anywhere in the Midwest in a 200-mile radius and you got 14 tracks.
Yeah.
Here, they're just like a chain up and down the I-5 corridor, and they're stretched out.
Well, it's like churches back in Alabama. There's one on every corner.
Right.
But we just don't have it here. It would be nice. But, they're just all in one big line all the way down the I-5 corridor. Mm-hmm. And they're not close together. Now, we're lucky to have Banks up north, and then we've got Cottage Grove to the south.
Southern Oregon down farther, closer to
and you got Coos Bay a little further, so we got a few, but they're still kind of spread out.
Right. From Willamette to Southern Oregon, you're looking at almost 3 hours, 2.5 hours. From Willamette to Coos Bay, you're looking at, a couple hours. From Willamette to Elma up in Washington, it's,
3 or 4 hours.
Right. I mean, so that's I think one thing that hinders growth of dirt track racing here in the Pacific Northwest is the fact we don't have the track count, and they're so far apart.
It's like from here to Banks is 2 hours. Once you
hour
finally
and a half,
get up there,
hour and a half, yeah.
But you figure traffic,
right?
2 hours easy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So staying on the subject of Colin Weinbarger and Gray Ferrando, they're also going to be, and I think this is cool, in Batesville, Arkansas. Okay, for the $20,000 to win the Race for Hope. Okay,
yep.
This is a cool event. Those guys are going to show up and they're going to lay it out like they did at the Boone Nationals. Don't think these guys aren't going to make that show. We got two guys that are assassins. They're snipers. They show up to. I mean, they're like Chris Kyle in a race car. You know what I mean? They're just cool. They know what they see their target. They see what they need to do and settle down, breathe, get the job done. And man, I am so proud of those guys that represent the way they did.
Well, I'm really looking forward to going to Bakersfield. I think it's going to be a blast.
Well, and they're going to be down there.
Yep.
Those guys are going to be down there. Bryson James will be there in a modified. We're going to see Joey Tanner. We're going to see Trent Elliott's going in a late model.
Trying to think of who else was pre-registered.
There's quite a few. I think we had 6 Oregon guys going this year. I think we had 6 or 7. 3 late models, I think 4 modifieds.
Well, while you guys was gone with Tony Toast, I got to spend some time with him over in his hauler and just talking to him. I met him on Friday night,
mm-hmm.
and talked to him for a little bit and told him who I was. And, of course, I had on my Moxie shirt, of course, strutting around with it. But anyway.
So they knew who you were.
Yeah, I got a really nice Moxie shirt. But anyway, I got to talk to him for a while and told him, that I'd see him in Bakersfield and look forward to talking to him. And he was just an all-around nice guy. I really liked him, and I thought, well, I get to see him when he gets down there. But I really had a good time with those guys.
They're a lot of fun. Those two guys are about as laid back as you're going to find for a dirt track race.
Most of those guys down there are like that. You're really going to have a good time down there. Those guys are very welcoming, very hospitable, just nice. They're just nice people.
I'm looking forward to it.
So last Wednesday, we had a big race at Willamette. Super late models from the house. We have 14 of them show up.
Yep.
And for it's the second or third time this year, we've seen a driver collect his first career feature win.
My hero,
Dan Dival.
Yeah.
So here's listen. I got to laugh at this. You guys already know I'm going with this, but I'm going to talk about it. We saw Vaughn Stone earlier this year. Didn't have any Moxie stickers on his car, and I said, hey, you put a Moxie sticker on your car, you're going to pick up 2 tenths. He says, give me one. So we put it on his car, and he goes out and wins the heat race.
Yep.
By 2 tenths, right? He won it by 2 tenths.
Hilarious.
We had a good laugh about it. So we show up for the races last Wednesday night.
And guess what happened?
And we're walking through the pit area, and we look over, and there's this big Moxie sticker on Dan Dival's car.
Yep. Corey looks at me. He says, hey, look over there. It's like, where'd that thing come from?
I said, hey, Dan, nice Moxie sticker. He goes, you like it? I said, where'd you get it? He says, I've got my sources. I said,
wonder who that was.
I said, man, that's a good thing. I said, first race, he's got it he's got the sticker on his car. I said, first race. I said, it's kind of like Moxie Karma. It's kind of like the Jim Rome show. They call it Jungle Karma.
And it's the big sticker too.
It is. It's the big one. So in the Jim Rome show, they've got this deal called Jungle Karma. You call into the show, you talk with Jim Rome, your team usually wins, whatever it is. It's kind of the same way with these Moxie stickers is the way it's working out this year, right? I said, hey, great job. I said, probably going to see you in victory lane tonight. And he kind of looks at me and goes, yeah. He goes, I hope so. What happens? Dan Dival gets his first career feature win. I mean, it was just so funny how that played out. I had to laugh about it. But
he put it on the back right corner, which makes it slip through the wind a little faster, as he's going around the turns. But now here's the story. Dan is a neighbor of mine, just,
right.
3 houses away. So I was down there, and I walked up to him, and I said, Dan, I said, how about let's put some Moxie stickers on your car. Or I was talking